Good evening, hello, welcome, namaste. Welcome to Voice of Manavta News channel. I'm your host, Christina Evers, the voice of the people of the whole world. Now, this channel does not belong to anyone. It's not anyone's private channel, and this channel is not on base of any gender. So this is the voice of the people. This channel is your channel, and we work for humanity, which means we always try and work to uplift the people. We always try and work to encourage the people, to inspire people. So, my dear friends, today I have two beautiful soul, two powerful soul. They inspire me as an individual. Just in a week's time, I was truly inspired by these two individuals. They are real powerhouses, and that's the reason why I say powerhouse, not just because Janine does powerlifting or Shikha tries to, inspire mothers out there, but they are true inspiration. You can always check their Facebook profile and the work that they do. I'm sure you all will be inspired by them. So let me just introduce the first speaker for the day. We have Janine Herbert. Now, what do I talk about Janine? She's an LGBTQIA plus activist and living openly as a bisexual woman. She will be joining school very soon in the month of August, and she would be taking community social worker program and would like to assist the LGBTQIA plus community, their families, and the youth. So this is called Being the Change. Janine, hearty welcome on my show in conversation with Christina Evers, Being the Change.
Thank you so much for the really warm welcome, Christina. I'm really excited to be here this morning. Well, I guess this evening for you, but this morning for me.
Yeah, so Janine, how did you begin your journey? How did you discover about yourself?
About myself? When I was younger, I do distinctly remember having feelings for the same sex and all that kind of stuff. But because of growing up in a small town and all that kind of stuff, I didn't actually know any people that felt like me, and so that's something that just kind of got stifled and pushed down. I was born into a conservative family, and it wouldn't have very much been appreciated to be living authentically as I felt at that time. So fast forward to about a few years ago, and I started recognizing things in myself and all the feelings that come with that, and feeling insecure and feeling scared and all that. And I just started telling my friends, I started acknowledging what it was and that there was nothing wrong with it. And I just started having some really inner conversations with myself. As a soul-based being having a human experience, I've learned to embrace who and what I am. But it's like an onion that every once in a while there's a new layer that's being unwrapped, and then you have to work through those feelings that come with those layers that when you're feeling exposed. And the journey is never over, I'm finding, but I don't think it's ever over for any of us. As we age and get older, we learn new things about ourselves in the world. And yeah, I'm one of those people that loves to get older, because it's just, you get to learn. I become nerdier as I get older, learning and finding out things about other people and psychology and what makes people tick and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to be here in this place that I'm at, but I recognize the struggle that people have with it, and it's not easy.
So did you face any sort of challenges when you actually opened up about yourself in the society?
Within my inner circle, no. I do find a lot of people, when they know, are really concerned about what other people think around you. Be it your family, be it your husband, be it your kids or whatever. And sometimes it can be very lonely being in that place where you're just kind of, you don't know who's safe to talk to about it. Not everyone has a real good core group of friends that this is something that can easily be discussed. But I'm very blessed that I have that, and I know they have my back and they just love me for me.
So you say your family supports you, which is really nice. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
The very first time when you disclosed this to your family about you being a bisexual, what was the reaction at that very point of time? Because I know in India, when I spoke about my gender orientation, my sexuality, there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of hurdles that I had to overcome, be it in family, society, school, or my workplaces. So even now, I still go through it, but just that I don't want to give up.
Yeah. No, I think I think there's always going to be people that I don't know. I can only really speak on like how I feel like talking about it to others, or I don't really know how other people feel outside of my circle about it. But what I really want is just people to understand that everyone has their own story, and their story is not going to look like your story. And because you're not walking the story, you really don't need to have an opinion about it. And just freely loving people for everything that they are made of, regardless of sexual orientation or race or anything like that. Like, we should just all see each other as soul beings like we are, and not the outer shell.
So when I was surfing your profile, your Facebook profile, I've seen you doing a lot of powerlifting. So you're such an inspiration, because some of my friends, when they saw, and they asked me, oh my God, who is she? Who is she? I'm like, she's a friend of mine. No, she's doing powerlifting. Some of the bodybuilder friends, rather, who goes to gym on a regular basis, they were like, hats off, she's such an inspiration. And I don't know, because I really do not go to gym. I've never been to gym. But when they were so excited, I'm like, she's just lifting weights, because I don't have much idea about it. So how do you feel when you do this powerlifting? How did you actually get it?
Oh, so you want to know how I started? A shortened version. So at the end of April, it would have been my 5-year anniversary of picking up a barbell for the first time. It started in 2017. And how I got started was I happened to catch a YouTube video, or it would have been of like a 2016 World Championship, and the women happened to be M3 to M4 lifters. That's what the group was. So we were talking women that were 60 and up. And they were squatting 300 pounds, and I thought that was insane. Like that, that blew my mind that these women were doing that. And I really caught the bug right there, because I'm like, okay, I have to try this. I'm not going to lie to you. Before I watched that video, I was very scared of the barbell. It's 7 feet long. It weighs 45 pounds. And it can do a lot of awesome things, but I was intimidated by it, and I had never picked one up before. And so I picked one up for the first time, and I was hooked. And was it 8 months after I first picked up a barbell, my coach at the time had said, I think you should compete at a local meet. And so I started looking for a local meet in Edmonton, which is about 2.5 hours from here. And there was a meet to sign up for, and I did, and I almost had a panic attack. It's now you're showing other people that this is what you're doing. I ended up going. I met some wonderful, fantastic people who have become my friends since then, and it is a very empowering group of powerlifters. Are very empowering. I love competing with other women, because we're not really competitive with each other. It's just competing against ourselves and bettering our totals every time we step on the platform is the goal, right? To get stronger and push your body to its limits. So in those 5 years, I've become a national champion in 2020. And then last year in 2021, I became Pan American champion, competing for Team Canada. And I've done a few meets. I think I've done 9 or 10. I can't remember now in the last 4 years. And gearing up for another one here in less than 7 weeks for provincials.
Great. I mean, it's really wonderful. Is there, like, when you go doing this powerlifting or you go and hit the gym, is there a certain time that you have to work for half an hour, or you need to work for an hour, or is it like you can even work for 10 minutes and come out of it?
Are you talking about like the actual lifting itself, like training? No, my usual training session will run anywhere from 2 to 3 hours at a time. But you're not lifting the whole time. So I'm just going to give you just a reference. So Saturday training was 3 top sets at 370 pounds for a 1 rep lift. And then there was back off sets 6 times 2. And you are resting in between these spots. Like we laugh because we probably only lift for about 20 minutes out of that 2 to 3 hour session, because you rest more than you're actually lifting. But it's very taxing on the body, and to always feel sore and achy is just a part of the journey. I'm hurting today. So if I seem stiff and I'm trying to shimmy myself into a better position, things are just a little bit tight. But I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. I love it. And one day, once I have my certification, I would like to coach girls and women in becoming stronger safely.
Great. Hats off to you on that, Janine.
Thank you.
The other thing what I would like to know would be, like, in India, supporting LGBTQIA plus community, or working for that community is not that easy. It is difficult. So how does people in Canada, where you are at the moment, how do they treat? Do we have good number of supporters for the LGBTQIA plus community? Or when we start working in Canada, do we get any sort of hindrances, or do we does the government or the society or people out there would stop us from doing something good?
I think support and allyship is better it can be better in larger city centers versus smaller rural towns. I don't know if it's like that for you guys as well. Sometimes when a community has a lot of a better word, support within their houses of worship, sometimes they aren't always the most supportive. They will say, well, love people and all that, but then they have this belief system that what you are and how you feel isn't the way that's a sin. And that's really a sin, because I don't think the universe does accidents when it's making its people that need to be born in this time. I believe everybody who is born here for a purpose, and they have a right to fulfill that purpose however their souls see fit. And I don't think any disrespect or misunderstanding from communities should hinder that. I would say in Edmonton there's a larger supportive community versus here. But we're working to change that. We have so many awesome allies in our town here, and they have support groups within schools, and which that did not exist when I was their age. So I'm I'm always increasingly hopeful, and I see a lot of support, and I have people who message me words of support, and we just gotta keep loving people as they are, because that really is. I always say that the most powerful energy in the world is the power of love. There's nothing more healing than love. It's all encompassing. And I think if we just look at everybody as a soul, and that every journey that is out there is meant to be had, we don't need to be judging people for what they are or what they're not doing. We just love the person.
I believe in that power of love. That's what, the other day I was talking to Shikha and she was saying the same thing. And I was like, we so think on the same platform. Even I believe in that power of love. So that's the reason I always mention spread love wherever
Yeah.
you go, whoever
Yeah.
you meet, whenever you
Yeah.
see, smile, spread love, spread positivity, and start it with yourself. So really happy to hear about that, Janine. When you say, I want to see the change, you are being the change.
Mm.
I am really, really happy and proud that you are here on this show. I would really like to thank you for agreeing. I would like to thank Shikha because she got me introduced to you. And thank you for agreeing to speak about it and being the change. So, is there any message that you would like to give to the world, people who are watching you right now, or who would be seeing you or downloading this podcast later sometime? They would download, they would watch it, because a lot of my friends, a lot of my contacts, they keep watching this over and over. There are people who've called me and they've told me that this is the fourth episode, but I've already got calls from people saying that, you know, at time when I get depressed or I feel low, I always go to your Facebook profile and try to watch one of the podcasts, listen to someone's journey, and that inspires me, that motivates me. So this is how
Yeah.
we are actually, touching lives. We are actually inspiring people. So is there a
Uh,
message that you would want to pass to the world?
I actually have two messages if I won't take up too much time. My message is for all young people out there. Um, I know this isn't easy. This is not easy. You're second guessing who you are. If you can love yourself, and if you can see the worth in yourself, and on some days that's really hard because I struggle with that myself, you are exactly who you were born to be. And don't ever let somebody second guess your worth, because you matter, and the magic that you provide while walking upon this earth is needed because you were picked for that. So please choose to stay. And if you don't have your community yet, I promise they will find you. That's what happens. And your people will love you, and you'll have the most amazing life. Just step into the power of who you are. And to people that are allies, I want to say, you may not know it, but you are keeping somebody alive with your words, with your actions, and telling people that you love them. Keep doing that, because we need people just to always tell people they are loved, and they are enough, because they are. So I love you for doing that work, and I love my community, and you're all worth it. So stay here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. That means so much to everyone who's watching. Yes, love yourself, love your community, love the people around you, because these are the people from where you would get love back. So I always say, when you do good, it always has a way of coming back to you.
Yes, it
So we
does.
must always
Yeah.
spread positivity, we must always spread love wherever we go. And no one is different. It's just that we all are unique creation. So
Absolutely.
when we are unique, we should not be judging anyone. We should not be commenting on someone.
No, it's not a competition.
Yes. We all have individual personality. So when you compete, which means you do not have a personality of your own. So it's not a
That's right.
competition. The only thing that you can give and you can get is love. So
Absolutely.
let's inspire, love each other, let's spread positivity. And on this note, I have my second guest, Shikha Khanna. Now, what do I talk about Shikha? She is India's first baby and child photographer. At the moment, heading a self portrait movement, and you see which she has interviewed 100 moms across the world and bringing them in a coffee book, 100 self-portrait, 100 dream. So the mother get honored for her work formally and making self-portrait a tool of transformation so people can express freely, visually, without hesitation. And that's the reason Shikha is also on this particular show to talk about her journey, what inspired her, why she didn't feel like giving up, why she felt that she needs to inspire more people to see the change, she has to be the change. So, being the change, Shikha Khanna.
Well, thanks, Christine. First, I'm totally emotional and speechless just listening to both of you, and I am, because my dream is coming true when I see cross-border connections coming together and becoming borderless, and like Christine, more power to you what you're doing, because I'm part of this country where you're trying to do what you're trying to do. And this country is not an easy country to do this at all. To speak like that, not that we have, but this country, we have a lot of diversity, and diversity at every level. Every 60 kilometers, the country changes to a new culture, and to be able to stand up and satisfy each culture's questions and then stand up and speak up, like we have diversity on another level. So I really want to thank you for standing up positively and trying to answer those questions and then bringing love together and not giving up, because it'll not end. The list is so long to keep questioning you that I can totally understand it, because I belong to this country and I love this country and absolutely in awe of this country. But we have so much work to do, and you and many of you are doing it. And to connect you to Canada was like my first thing, because this voice needs to get out from borders. It doesn't need to be just confined to Canada, US, India. Like, this has to start echoing at a very big level. So thank you, Christine. I mean, I'm just in awe of the way you show up in spite of going through so much, with so much love and positivity, totally. And Janine, of course, I have a very soft corner for Janine, and I told you, when you meet Janine, you'll see a bodybuilder and a weightlifter, but you'll see the most gentlest soul possible on the surface of this earth. And her whole message of love, soul connection, her message goes out so gently without, trying to really scream out the message. And she just, merges in like water and tells her message and still be who she is. And I always tell her that she has a poet in her, and I'm waiting for her book. So Janine, thank you for agreeing to this and being vulnerable here, cross borders, because it's not easy. It's not easy. I can imagine just like speaking from various places. But thank you so much. It was very emotional, because for me, my dream is coming true. Janine is one of the mothers in the book, and for me, these voices and these stories had to echo from every direction, so that the mother pulse comes back and we can align ourselves to the fact. And Mother Pulse doesn't need to generally only be with mothers. Yes, I'm taking the route of mothers who've birthed children, and or we have bonus moms also. Step moms word has been eradicated in our this thing. We have bonus moms. We call them bonus moms. And well, coming to that journey, I want to keep it short myself. It's such a passionate project that I will start it from. So when I was very young, my mom she was schizophrenic, and I was in a big loving joint family of this country, and she was becoming a little violent, and she had to be taken away, not because of any other reason, because 50 years, 45 years back, schizophrenia was not, there was no solution to that after a point. And there was a lot of myth around, I mean, it sounds crazy today, but things like some evil spirit has captured her probably, and stuff like that. And I was all of 6, and I think my brother was all of 12, and she had to be taken away, and we had a joint family, and kids were getting affected with violence. And then I started moving forward with whatever I could understand, because one fine day a decision has been taken when you're a child, and then that decision is taken, and then you move forward with that decision. I struggled in my own way in a loving family. I must say that I'm very blessed with a very loving family, but you still struggle because your struggle is internal. No matter what situation you are in, your struggles are internal, and you struggle in your own way, sometimes trying to be strong for others so that they don't feel that bad or something, and then you try to be strong. And all that crossed, like, just fast forward, I became India's first baby and child photographer with a very supportive father who taught me how to say yes. Everything was a yes, because one fine day he just realized that I have to save this girl from this side, and everything was a yes. All the dangerous things were yes. Whatever you want to do was a yes, yes, yes. And I became, at the age of 18, India's first baby and child photographer. And then I was given choices to do fashion, to do advertising, to do many things. I was very good at product photography, but I said I want to do baby and child photography. And they're like, what are you talking about? There's nothing called baby child photography in this country. And I'm like, no, I want to do that. I want to be a baby photographer. And I stepped in and became India's first baby and child photographer. And again, fast forward, I kept on asking my clients, because I was taught to ask mothers or your clients, whichever you're taught, what do they really want? And the list of what they did not want was so long. I don't want this angle, I don't want this, that I realized that if I have to bring light in their life, I have to stop asking these questions and just show up and bring the light. And that's how I worked for 20 years. Again, fast forward, I became a mom, and the light goes off my face somehow, and I start hiding behind the camera, and I'm like, wow, all this life, while you've been giving lectures to all the moms saying that bring some light, bring some light, bring some light, and it's like a gift that all mothers are given. And in my research, I realized that mothers across the world feel like that, and hence this project was born, because self-image is stopping us from showing up in our authentic way and taking us away from our dream. So that's why this whole project started, and one fine day, 100 mothers were found, and 10 months down the lane, I have moms standing up, expressing themselves through self-portrait.
That's really nice, sweet, and being very courageous. And when you say that you get support, not everyone gets that. So I feel when we get support from family, we are blessed.
Yeah.
Like, half a struggle is over. As a trans woman, if I had to get support from my family, half of my struggle would have been over. But my struggle started, it continued, and it still continues. Because
you're trying to get a message across, right? Your message is so much stronger, and all that we live is to inspire, and anything that we go through. And because decision has been taken to just credit and be grateful, so it's always good to tell stories with gratitude and what you're grateful for than you didn't have, because you have so much love today, Christina. You have so much love today. That's also not good.
This is one of the reasons why whenever I go and if I hear someone complaining, I'm like, you should be grateful, because you've got food on your table, you've got clothes to wear. I mean, these are things that you should be, thankful for. Because I work with underprivileged children. I work with the less fortunate section of our society, where I see that they do not get 3 times meal, or they don't have proper clothes to wear, or even footwear. They don't have slippers or shoes, and they roam barefoot. So I just see them, and I'm thankful. I look at my Almighty, and I just thank that I've got things. Whatever you've given me, that's more than enough. I do not long for things that I don't have, but I appreciate what I have. So this is what I always want to pass to the world, that we should all appreciate that gratitude. I'm happy because I am alive. That's the most important thing. I'm breathing. Right. So, Shikha, I'm sure when you have interviewed these moms, you must have come across certain moms, who had really inspiring stories or who didn't want to open up at the first instance. So how do you handle or manage them?
Well, I don't have to manage anybody. All I had to do was to talk to them, and that's what I'm saying. I just count my blessing, and I feel I've been chosen, and I've never had resistance from any mom. All 100. I've never had resistance from any mom telling their stories because they felt probably safe speaking it out with me. And I've had moms who have called me a day before and said, you know what, I feel like telling you a story that I've not told even my own children on the on live today. And they have come up live, and these are moms who are from Bollywood, moms who have had secrets. There are moms who have spoken up. There are moms who have crashed. There are moms who have cried, and we've cried together. And there is a man in the book who's brought in a mom, his mom's story, who's no more, of domestic violence, and his mom's story is being echoed after her going through domestic violence for 40 to 45 years probably, and then she passing away and waiting for this voice to be heard after she passed away 10 years later by her son, who raised his hand bravely and said, will you take my mom in your book because her voice needs to be heard. So if you ask me, I don't need to manage anything because I told you, love attracts love, and I've only found love, and I'm just very grateful that these moms trust me enough that I can take their stories to the world. And I'm just grateful. That's what I'm saying. I'm just grateful that it's no courage. It's the love language that's just speaking up, and it's chain locking and becoming a stronger chain. Nothing else. We all in this together.
So when we know that you are an inspiration, Shikha, I know it's not that easy to manage. How do you manage family, and plus how do you manage these moms? Being a mom yourself, you manage a lot of moms, as in when I talk about managing, listening to their stories, that is more important, listening more than talking. So there are people who want us to listen to them. And that patience, from where do you get that?
Okay, so I'm a photographer, and I've been a poet, and I will give you a story. What happens is, when you're trekking sometimes and you find a path, okay, and you start taking that path. And when you start taking that path, you just hear some whispers, and you just turn around and say, will you come with me? And they say, yeah, let's go. And you just keep going ahead, you're going ahead, and you just keep making the way. And then one fine day, like in some time, just turn around and there are 100 of them right behind you. You don't need any managing skills. You just know that you're supported. You just know that you must do it. You just know because these stories were meant to be told. And when that voice speaks inside of you, you just keep walking and just having, it's not me. It's not me because I have felt their support many, many times in many situations when I give up and I'm like, I just think it's insane what I'm doing. And I think there will be some message coming from some mother saying hello to me or something, as if they all are listening. And if you ask me, I've been asked this question, why these 100 moms? I don't even have an answer to that. I don't have any answers to why these 100 moms, why only them. None of them have filled any criteria, forms. None of them have to pay anything to be in this project. They're just here because I found them. We did it together, and we are making a path so that the whole thing echoes through them to many mothers who I can't touch at all. These 100 moms will do it, and whoever they touch will touch it further. So that's what the power of the book is going to be, and it must be because the solution is with the mom. The minute the mom goes off track, the children go off track, and when the children go off track, the future generation is in problem. So the mother needs to give the solution and be the powerhouse. And I always say this visual as well. Then mothers lie low, and it's not with mothers only, but specifically with mothers. Why? Because when mothers lie low and they operate from a lower ground, right below the mountain, their children will always maximum go 100 meters up and just give up. But when they put their children on their back and climb the mountain and then show the view from there to their children and say, that's how big the world is, the children become stronger and create paths. So the idea is for telling the world that these 100 moms have done it. They've held their children, they've held it themselves in spite of the situation, they've climbed the mountains, and they are showing their children the path, you do not lie low and sit there and tell the next generation that operate from there. You can climb no matter what happens. And there are varied stories from mothers who've lost their children, from mothers who were very creative, mothers who were first Air Force officers. And I always mention her. And I want to tell this because I had a very limiting belief that my child cannot go in the middle of the night for a party with me because he has to sleep at 7 o'clock and I have to miss on to something very important, something that makes me happy, because happiness itself is a very important thing to, because if you're not happy, you can't spread it. And then I meet this mom, and she told me that when she was posted in, she was India's first Air Force officer batch, women batch, and a very probably famous mom in media. And then she was told from a very remote area of northeast India to go to Ladakh, and she had a 2-year-old child with her. And it was not an Indian posting, minus 40 degrees, low oxygen, not a family posting. I've been to Ladakh, and she took her child for 2 years to Ladakh on borders because she didn't want to leave the child behind. And she would take the plane in the morning, or she would go for patrolling, sometimes wrapping the child back into the jeep and patrolling with him because she wants the connection. She doesn't want 2 years to be away from her child or leave her career. And if moms can do that and patrol borders, the 2-year-old, and that boy, poor boy, because food is not easy to reach to Ladakh. In 1998, they were all mud houses. He's eaten potatoes, lentils, and rice for 2 years, 3 times a day. And when you hear the story of that mother, and you are like, and people who know Ladakh, I know Ladakh, I don't even want to take my children before they're 14 for a trip there. And she took him, and I interviewed the son. He's 25 years old now. And I brought him as a surprise in the interview, and I was like, how does it feel? And that's how we honor mothers sometimes. And I've taken the cause of mothers, so I will speak on behalf of mothers at the moment. But I'm very proud of you as well, and anybody who's courageous and takes a step forward.
You are truly an inspiration, Shikha. I mean it. And yes, undoubtedly, my next question would have been why these 100 mothers, but you've already answered. And the answer is because they are the chosen ones. And they had to be there to, take it further, take it forward. So they are the chosen one. Like, you can't have the entire world into an army. So these 100 soldiers will take it forward, and they will lead the way of love. They will show the love that they have within themselves. They will share it with the world. So Shikha, any message for the people who are seeing you or who would be seeing you?
Message is just keep watching and keep watching us, because mothers are coming. They're coming for the world to vibrate at another level. And I have visioned 100 mothers coming to India holding hands, a drone picture of them together, so that picture vibrates to say that do not leave a mother alone back at home, and think that any mother should not think that her life ends there. It just started. It's just started. And by having a self-image that I'm a mom and I cannot move forward, I'm bringing 100 stories of mothers who, irrespective of what's happened to them, and you have to hear some of the stories, have only moved forward with love to make impact. And impact must not stop. We are mothers or we are not, and the next generation is our responsibility. And when we have people like Janine, who are going to talk about LGBTQ actively with her children around and to people, and she talks to a lot of young kids. She is very passionate about talking to young teenagers and people about it. But when that conversation comes home with a lot of pride, the next generation is going to take these issues with a lot of pride and solve it, because that's what you pass. And that's what the whole mission is. Bring it home. And the whole idea is when the book reaches them, and imagine, like, I have this vision, the bell rings, the courier comes, 100 stories reach these mothers, their families sit down, open the book and sees 100 stories. These are not going to be just faces, they're going to be stories expressed through pictures. They open the book and they're like, wow, my mom is honored in a book for being a mom, not being an Air Force officer or this or that. She's been honored to be a mom, and that's what my message is. We are coming. That's what I want. I know there's no message. I never know answers to these things. But we are coming and watch the space, because India is going to vibrate with 100 mother story across the world very soon in person. And I will make it happen.
So that was Shikha Khanna. India is going to vibrate with 100 mother stories. So stay tuned. Check for her book once it's released. Okay, once it's there in the market, get one for yourself, read it, go through it, get inspired by these mother. The only message for the children out there would be love your mother, respect them, obey them, be with them. Tomorrow you might become a mother, you might become a father. So you must obey, respect, and be along with your mother, your parents, especially mothers, because mothers, they do a lot for you. They inspire you. So the only thing that you can give to your mother is love, and they would not ask for anything else apart from love. So speak to them politely, talk to them nicely. That is the only thing that a mother wants. A mother would not
I
want.
want to add to that, Christine. I always want to add to that before we wrap up. And I just want everybody to visualize only this, that we are just a big ball of energy, and these kids that are coming out of us are just little ball of energy, and they will only survive with feeding of our energy. If we do not protect ourselves, we cannot feed that ball of energy into a big ball. It'll always not be able to manifest it. It'll have to struggle to be able to survive. So more than anything, we need to keep asking ourselves that these balls of energies that we release in the world, and rather than getting attached to them as our children, our duty is to provide more energy to them, so that when they go and whatever comes off them, because that's the law of nature. You release, then they release, and then they release, and that's how you vibrate, right? So when they vibrate, they must not vibrate because they didn't have enough. And unless the mother starts feeling, I am enough, and that's true for anything, whether you're LGBTQ community, when you start feeling enough, you release the energy of being enough, and from there you release it further. And that's the message. Then just let just feed your energy, and to be able to feed that energy, get that energy, and whatever it takes to get that energy is what the work is, and everything will just happen as a law of nature. So we don't have to really work very hard on it.
Yes, so this is for all the mothers. Please do take care of yourself if you want to take care of your children. So that is the energy that Shikha was just talking about. You need to stay positive in order to let your kids stay positive. So you need to be energized enough if you want to do if you want to do all the housework, whether you want to do outside work or anything, you need to be energized. You need to be full of love, compassion, and that's what you can pass on to your kids. At the same time, when you're taking care of your kids, do not forget to take care of yourself, because you are a mother and you need to take care of yourself. My only wish for all the mothers, you stay blessed out there. You are the powerhouse. You are inspiring someone somewhere. You never know whose life you have touched. So I would like to thank Gurpreet Singh, who sponsors this show for us. And above all, I would like to thank Mr. Meghraj Singh. Shikha, I really, with folded hands, am humbled. My gratitude for you and for Janine. My true gratitude to these two powerhouse. They agreed to come on this show. Though I generally have shows for more than an hour, but I don't want to, go beyond an hour or anything on this show. But yes, if you guys want to get connected with Shikha Khanna or Janine Herbert, they are there on Facebook. If you have any question you would like to ask them, please send them a message, and I'm sure any one of us will answer your questions. You can get in touch with me, you can get in touch with Mr. Meghraj Singh, or any of our inspiration who are there on this show. If you need a little bit of counseling, if you need advice, suggestion, always get in touch with someone you trust. Never have this option open in your life to give up. Hope is the only constant thing that keeps moving and keeps us all alive and in a very loving condition. So the only thing that we could give to the world is love, and return get love back. So thank you so much for joining us. My heartfelt thanks and gratitude. Mr. Meghraj, आप कुछ बोलेंगे?
अगर आपकी इजाजत हो तो हम कुछ बोलेगा?
जी।
पहले तो मैं शिखा खन्ना जी का स्पेशल धन्यवाद करता हूँ। इन्होंने जिंदे होने का सबूत दिया है। जिंदा हम उनको मानते हैं जो लोगों से प्यार करते हैं। नफरत तो वो भी कर सकते हैं जिनके अंदर जान नहीं है। मतलब पहली बात तो उनके अंदर जान है ही नहीं, नफरत कहाँ से करेंगे। लेकिन जिंदा उनको मानते हैं जो लोग प्यार करते हैं। तो मैं ये शायरी कहना चाहता हूँ इसको लास्ट में, जो पूरे विश्व को अपना परिवार समझ करके प्यार करें, उन्हीं को हम जिंदा इंसान समझते हैं। जो पूरे विश्व के अंदर जात पात नस्लवाद को देखकर नफरत करे, उसको हम मुर्दे के समान समझते हैं। तो मुर्दा, ये आप देखना कि आप मुर्दे हैं कि जिंदे हैं। तो शिखा जी, आपने जिंदे होने का सबूत दिया है, और हम उम्मीद भी करते हैं कि आपकी वजह से बहुत सारे लोगों का मतलब उदाहरण है आपके लोगों के लिए। और हम भी शायद ये कृष्णा जी की वजह से आप लोगों तक मुलाकात हो पाई, नहीं तो हम कहाँ ढूंढते आप लोगों को। पहली बात हम बहुत सारे मैसेज करते हैं, लेकिन हम तो मतलब रिस्पॉन्स नहीं देता है। और जिन्हें भी आपका भी स्पेशल धन्यवाद। तो कृष्णा जी, आपका दिल से धन्यवाद, आपने 6 लोगों से मुलाकात कराई। और उम्मीद भी करते हैं आप इसी तरीके से सबको मिलाते रहेंगे, आगे बढ़ाते रहेंगे, और सच्चाई और ईमानदारी का पाठ सबको पढ़ाते रहेंगे। थैंक यू जी आपका।
I just want to take 1 second to say, because when I was called for Rotary, recently. I was invited by Rotary to speak by Mrs. Masrat, who's also amazing mom in the book, and they were all men sitting there. So when I stood up at the stage, and I'm like, wow, now I need to speak to all the men about my project, which is all women project. How do I speak? You know what question I asked them? Like their downloads come to you when you take missions, right? I asked them, whoever doesn't have a mother, keep sitting. Everybody else can raise their hand and stand. And then everybody, she just looked around and they're like, what kind of a question is that? So I was like, whoever doesn't have a mother should just sit down, and whoever has a mother, please raise their hands. And then everybody laughed. And that's how, so everyone has a mother, or everyone has a mother next to them, in their friends, in their sisters, or they definitely have their own mother. And that's why this mission should also go to men, and men should support it. So thank you for supporting it, Meghraji, and thank you for your Punjabi, because I just get very deeply connected to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shikha. Thank you so much, Janine, for staying connected.
Thanks, Christina. More power to you. More power to you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the viewers, folks out there, for watching us on Voice of Manavta TV News channel. This channel does not belong to any individual. It's the voice of the people, and we keep inspiring people around us. So that's what. Love, and keep sharing love.
Lots
Thank
of
you
love.
so
Lots
much.
of love.
Stay blessed. Namaskar.